Section to more general internet resiliency in South Africa. The next speaker is Amreesh. He's a researcher for ISOC, longtime Afrinic staff member, and he will go a bit more into the details of general internet resiliency and the resiliency index.
Thank you, Sander. Hi, everyone. Super glad to be back in Cape Town. And back in this area. I remember my first I-Week actually was in Stellenbosch, not so far away, 2015. Yeah. So, yeah, my name is Amreesh. I work for the Internet Society. I do mostly research over there, and I will tell you about one of the new products that we have launched a couple of months ago, which is called the Internet Resilience Index. And what I'm going to talk about today is the internet resilience in Southern Africa, with a focus on South Africa, of course. Okay, so what are we going to cover today? Obviously, this tool, as you know, at the Internet Society, we like to work with people that can potentially change things in their own countries. So, talking to regulators, policymakers. So this tool really is something meant for regulators and policymakers. I'm sure there are not many people in the policy sphere here today. It's mostly network operators, but I'm sure you can get at least one take-home point from this presentation. So we will look at the past, some of the incidents that happen on the internet, some of the outages, and what could have been, or what are the impact of these outages, and what is the connection to internet resilience? What are the strengths and weaknesses of the Southern African region in terms of resilience, and what you as the internet community should do to make internet more resilient in your own community and own country. So the Internet Society is running a project called Pulse. Pulse is a data dashboard. So we collect data from different sources and we present data on different things such as internet shutdowns or countries shutting down the internet in their countries. And so we document how they are doing the shutdowns and the duration, and we also provide some cost calculation about what could be the business impact of those shutdown. We also provide some information about the adoption of key technologies such as IPv6, DNSSEC, TLS, HTTPS, so on and so forth. Another aspect that we look at is also concentration. How some market concentrated in terms of CDN providers, certificate providers, data center providers, and what we are going to talk about today is resilience. So we have on the website a tool called the Internet Resilience Index, which I've been working on for the past couple of months. So internet resilience, it's quite a complex concept, right? So let's try to bring that back to the notion of human resilience, right? So what would you say constitute the resilience of a person? We can think of their mental health, their physical health. Some would say their financial health. My wife would say emotional health. So there are different things, right? But the internet is, I would say, is the same. The internet is a complex ecosystem made of so many different parts. So we have to come with some sort of, we have to break it down into measurable pieces. And the way we did it is, as you see here, first, we need infrastructure for the internet to work. So we look at whether there is an existence of infrastructure, first of all, and how reliable this infrastructure is. Next is performance. You need at least some level of performance to be able to run any kind of service on the internet. If your bandwidth is crappy, you won't be able to watch your favorite YouTube video. Security, of course, your network, your system, the ecosystem of your country should be secured enough for it to be able to resist to attacks from the outside, and we have a nice talk on DDoS. I will tell you how we use DDoS information not as a way to protect your network, but because you can also, as a network, you can also be potentially an attacker to others. So you need to know that you are actually you need to secure your network in such a way that you are not going to be an attacker to others. And finally, market readiness. We thought that, okay, the internet is not only made of technical things, we need to add what we usually call layer 8 and layer 9 considerations in that index. And we looked at market readiness, things such as market concentration. Do we see good competition in the market? Do we see good pricing in terms of internet services? So these are all captured in that last pillar called market readiness. But first, let's learn a little bit about some recent incidents. The AS4804 outage, Optus in Australia, that outage lasted 10 hours. It affected both fixed broadband and mobile communication, over 10 million individuals. So as in many places, the same company is going to provide fixed and mobile and using the same backbone. And once there's something which is not running okay in the main network, in the core network, both fixed and mobile would go away. And this is what happened in Australia. Obviously, there is something to fix at the network level itself. I think the issue was some misconfiguration with BGP. So there is some amount of resilience or redundancy that needs to happen at the network level, but that's not my point here. My point is that if we look at the Internet Resilience Index of Australia, so I will only look at two things. It's a little bit blurry, so you might not see it. In the red rectangle down there, we are looking at market diversity. So the index is basically telling us that in Australia, market diversity isn't that great, right? So in the case of an outage, if one or two operators they go down, it means that maybe potentially half of the population, if not more, will not be able to have access to the internet. And this is what also happened in Canada. Canada had an outage that lasted 19 hours, also affected millions of subscribers. And you can see the costs, more than 140 million US dollars in terms of loss. And the very same profile, market diversity in Canada is not that great because the market is dominated by one or two players. Finally, this is a blog post that was written by Max, who did a presentation earlier today about the outage in Italy, where Telecom Italia has only one upstream provider, which is Sparkle, and the link between Telecom Italia and Sparkle was broken, and obviously, because they do not have any alternative link, and also because of lack of peering, their customer base suffered a lot from this outage. So this is how it looks like on Hurricane Electric. So on the left, you would see this is Telecom Italia. As you can see, only one provider. And I bet this case is very similar in a lot of countries across the world. If we look at their competitor, which is Vodafone Italia, you can see that they have many providers, at least 3 providers. So it shows a higher level of redundancy here. So now, let's bring the conversation back to Southern Africa, and specifically also South Africa. So using the Internet Resilience Index, we rank regions. Unfortunately, Africa is lagging behind with 35% of internet resilience. And if we go into Africa, we also have sub-regions, and Southern Africa is doing the best. And within Southern Africa, South Africa is doing the best in front of Botswana, Namibia, Lesotho, and Eswatini. In general, South Africa is ranked 52 in the world. So this is a spider chart of the internet resilience of South Africa. So the index is built using different indicators. So I'm not showing all the indicators here. I'm showing a group. When we group all the indicators into subcategories, this is what you see here. But the idea is, looking at this graph, we can already see where are the weak points. We see that, for example, in South Africa, mobile connectivity is quite good, hitting around 80% here. Market structure is also quite good, hitting around 70% here. But enabling infrastructure, not that good. Mobile networks, not that good. So let's have a look deeper into that. So South Africa, as I mentioned, has a 53% of index, and the weak points are enabling technologies. So we look at what are the indicators, what are the features of the enabling infrastructure, which is a little bit weak. We see data centers, and we see the number of IXPs. Quite a surprise, actually. But so the way the index is built is that it compares South Africa with other countries, those who are performing better. So it doesn't mean that with the number of IXPs that you have in South Africa, it's actually bad. It's just that some other countries are doing better in terms of number of IXPs and number of data centers that you have in their country. So I did a quick calculation. We have seen 20 major cities in South Africa. We have only 7 IXPs and 36 data centers. Normally, in some other countries, you would have a higher number of IXPs because you tend to have regional IXPs. So the ideal scenario would be to have an IXP per city, per major city, where you have a lot of population and also a lot of regional ISPs providing the service. So let me compare this with another country, Thailand, which has more or less the same profile, except that it has fewer number of cities. It has 8 IXPs and 28 data centers, which means that the number of IXPs as the indicator for internet resilience for Thailand is much better than it is for South Africa, because the ratio is better. So moving on, we've seen a difference in terms of performance as well. So if we compare South Africa to Thailand, in terms of mobile performance is quite equivalent. But if you look at the fixed broadband, the average broadband as experienced by end users, because this is data coming from Ookla, is around 45 Mbps, whereas in Thailand, it's 223 Mbps. If we look at the security and market readiness component of South Africa, IPv6 adoption is very low as compared to other countries in the world. Why is that the case? Guys, what are you doing with the IPv6? I think it's high time for you to make it happen. I was talking about DDoS protection. So what we are measuring effectively here is your potential of harming others. And we get the data from CyberGreen, which is a source of data about DDoS and how many open networks, open DNS servers, open NTP servers that you have on your network. But the good thing about South Africa is that you are doing quite well in terms of market diversity and upstream provider diversity. So your market is quite well balanced in terms of the number of players and in terms of peering as well. This is the very sad picture of IPv6 adoption. Only 1.5% are seen by Google, as opposed to 42% in Thailand. As I mentioned, South Africa is doing quite well in terms of market readiness, and this is because affordability to internet services is good, peering is good, market diversity is good. So all these different factors are contributing to having a good market readiness factor for South Africa. I will skip quickly. So had some slides on some neighboring countries such as Botswana. So for example, Botswana, we haven't seen any data center recorded on peering DB, which is where we are getting our information. So they are also doing quite badly on fixed on fixed connectivity as opposed to mobile. And I also put a slide on Tanzania. As Frank is here, data center is not that great and fixed connectivity is not that great. So we all have a role to play in this. So if you fix your own network and all aggregated together, this will change your index eventually. So we all have a role to play in making the internet more resilient. So it is not if but when, and I hope it is not you that appear on the blank sheet that's there as the next outage. And if you want to have more information, you can subscribe to our newsletter or have a look at our methodology to have more details about our index. Thank you very much.
Thank you, thank you, Amreesh. Very interesting. Hope you can give better numbers next time. Yes. We have time for questions. Yes. Any questions? I think they just realize how much work they have to do now, so everybody's working. Thank you very much. Okay, the next presentation will be a lightning talk about post-quantum crypto, and this is a recording. So please, I don't know who.